We're going to make this little mini photo album, but I've done a lot of prep. So if you were doing it and you didn't have the prep done in advance, you could still do this album in just 30 minutes. So let me show it to you. First of all, it looks like a little book when it's closed. And in the front and in the back, those are graphic 45 papers from an older paper line, I think that was called Little Darlings. Everything else is Stampin' Up product. This is our blue ribbon that I'm using for the binding, and it's just basically, it's taped behind the cover and the back of the book. So this is an accordion faux book. That's the back of the book, and you definitely can use the back, but I chose not to because I'm going to display it on a table facing outward. So I've only used the front of the book. And so this is a welcome baby book, and this one happens to be for a baby boy. And you'll notice that I've used a few of our new products. I've used our film framelits, and down here you'll see that I've also used the framelits for Babies First and the stamp set called Something for Baby. And with just those few products, so let me just show you how to do this. It's really easy. You can stand like this on your desk, or you can carry it in your purse closed and use it as a brag book. This is your base. So what I've taken is a long piece of watercolor paper, and it's 24 inches wide, and it's 4 3/4 tall. And then I've scored it at every 4 inches, which creates the pages of this accordion book. And that's my base. This is on the film framelits. You use this and you cut out a bunch of these framelits. And for this project, you just need 4, one for each picture, and then one for the front and one for the back. So that's 6. You would need to cut 6 just for this project. And then the next thing you would need to do is you'd need to select some photos. So I've printed these 4 by 6, but then I've cropped them to 3.5 by 3.5. And when you're cropping, use your framelits, and that's why I said cut these first, because what you'll do is you'll put your framelit over your photo and kind of decide, because the photo might be longer or bigger, okay, what is the best image that fits into this frame, and then kind of take a pencil and kind of mark that on the edges of your photo, and then cut your photo out. All right, but 3.5 by 3.5 gives you a nice backing here. And then you need some matting. So for girls you might use pink, or for boys you might use blue. I'm going to use blue and green today. So I'm going to take, I think this is Marina Mist, and this is Pear Pizzazz, and I've cut these mats out at 3 3/4 by 4 3/8. You're welcome to adjust that, but that gives me a very nice small matting around the photo, which I like. So you'll need to cut 4 mats for behind the pictures, and then 1 mat for the back and the front of the book. Pick your favorite designer series paper, or whatever kind of paper. I would go dig in your stash and find the papers that have babies on it, or have something to do with babies, and then cut them out just like your photos at 3.5 by 3.5. Put them behind the frame and then mat that whole thing. And there's your front and your back cover, basically. So you can prepare those in advance. So I'm going to show you how to do the most fun piece of this, which is the stamping. So to do the stamping, I've pulled out the ink color markers. I've pulled out the stamp set, Something for Baby, and I've pulled out a clear block to work with. Now, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to do some watercolor stamping with this. It kind of gives it a neat effect for your book. I'm going to take 3 of these markers out, coordinate it with your girl-boy theme, and I'm just going to marker pieces of this. With those markers. And by using the ink color set, you do have colors that look nice together. you definitely could pick different colors. Now I'm going to mist that with water. In this case, I'm going to actually mist it with some glimmer mist. You know how much I love using glimmer mist because it sparkles. You could use shimmer paint and water, and I'm going to spray it until it's kind of wet. And then I just have a large sheet of, I have a standard sheet of watercolor paper, and I'm going to stamp that down, kind of hold it a second, pick it up, and you see that I can get this really nice watercolor variation effect. I really love that. And do it twice. So like without re-inking, water spritz again, and stamp. And what you'll get on that second stamp is a second generation stamp, which will be much lighter, but actually looks pretty cool as well. I would actually pull out your stamps and do this whole page. So this is, I think this is Stampin' Up! Watercolor sheet. And so all you do is just fill up your watercolor piece of paper with all different, stamps from this set. Mixing your markers and spritzing and spraying and having fun stamping. Leave enough space between them because you're actually going to die cut them. So with the baby's first framelits, you're going to come back into what you stamped after you get done, and you're going to die cut them. So tip I will give you, because this is kind of a big sheet, after you get through stamping it all, put it over to the side to dry. Don't worry about when it runs out like this, like sometimes it runs outside the line, because remember, you're going to die cut it anyway, and it's going to look wonderful. But what you might want to do before you start running it through the big shot is you might want to cut up your paper, which may make it easier for you to die cut. Okay, so what I have done is I've actually done that in advance, and you'll see that I have this nice little collection, this cute little collection of all these different ones that I've done. As you can see, sometimes I used only one ink color. Here I used the Brushing Bride with the slate, really pretty gray and pink. Let's see, here's a couple of those. I don't even know what those are called. And then here's a little ducky. Here's a safety pin, and you can see I enjoyed mixing those marker colors. And so these are going to be my embellishments, guys. That's how easy that's going to be. So I'm going to push them over to the side and start to show you how you work with the pictures. Okay, so I've pulled out a picture and one of the framelits and one of the mats. Okay, now all I'm going to do is and you want to be careful as you do this, because what's happening is now you're going to start introducing adhesive to your environment, and you want to be careful you don't mess up your photos. So be really careful with how you work with adhesive. You can use any number of adhesives. I find the Tombow multi-purpose is a good one. But you want to keep track of where your glue is. If you get it on the paper underneath, don't turn your photos over, stuff like that. So now I'm going to just edge, right? I'm actually on the front of my photo, and I'm going to go as close to the edge as my hand can make me. Now this is a lot easier when you don't have a camera in your face like I do. Otherwise this is really easy to do. And that's all I did. Okay, just take a little bit of the Tombow, go around the photo, and then take your mat and go right on top of that. Now if you did this 3.5 by 3.5, it will actually fit perfectly back there. And I'm just taking a paper towel and kind of, in case I have any adhesive that sip through, but you'll get really quickly alert to the thin line of adhesive you need around your photo. It should be a very thin line, as close to the edge as you can get it. And then what I like about using the mono versus tape is you can adjust your photo. So that that Tombow adhesive is not going to dry so quickly that you can't readjust. So that's what I like about using liquid glue for projects like this. And then now, if you want to use tape now, you can. But again, if I go to turn this over, right, to put tape on it, I want to be careful that there's no mono on there, right? So just watch as you're working that you're not putting your photos on top of glue when you turn them over. Alright, I'm just going to put a little bit on back of that. And now this is going to be on top of my mat. See how easy that is? It's just ABCs, really. Who hasn't done a photo mat before? And you're just basically adding that cute little film strip photo frame from our framelit set, which makes it so much easier for you. And now what you can do is you can start to embellish this. So you can take one of these things that you made and you can decide, where it fits. Okay, if I wasn't on video, to be honest with you, I would use stamping dimensionals or I would use tape, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to use a little bit of mono right on the bottom of that toy, and that is going to be that picture. Now I actually have done a few more of my pictures here, and now I'm just going to add some of these embellishments to them. Now of course, depending on the picture is which embellishment is going to look best, so I might actually, and sometimes it's nice to do threes. So for instance, one second, let me get stamping dimensionals. So I kind of speed this up a little bit just so the video keeps within the time constraints. And I like to put the ducks in threes, but you can do this any way you want. I also added baby booties on the sample, and I didn't add baby booties to these. And in this case, you can see that I'm basically picking where I put the embellishment based on, what's in the photo, what I might want to cover in the photo or not cover in the photo. And then basically, once your photos are ready, you just paste them onto the pages. And that's just, the time it takes to put tape on the back of that matted scenario and put it on your pages. You'll notice that these are not matted, and it's just because at some point I decided not to mat the photos, and who knows why, but I think it looks better matted. So compare the sample to this one and see if you can tell the difference. So that last photo is matted, the other three are not. And then I added the little embellishment on the back. I plan to stamp under there like welcome baby, or just pencil in the baby's name is cool too. And then what's going to go here is like an introduction to the baby. So you'll see here in the original that I showed you, I put the name and kind of some text. This will actually say his name, the day he was born, things like that. Those were personal things I didn't want to put on the video. And then on the front, you're going to select which one you like, which one of your designer series papers you want on the front. Now, oops, I forgot. Before you put your front down, take a piece of ribbon, and this is about 20 inches long, which is probably way more than enough. And you want to put the ribbon behind either the front or the back before you tape. And you don't want to tape the ribbon behind both sides, because if you do, you won't be able to display it in an accordion manner. So if you do the tape, if you tape that ribbon down on both sides, it will become a book that can be paged through, and it will not be able to stand up as an accordion design. So that's the difference. So with that ribbon not taped under there, I can stand it up like this. If I tape that ribbon under there, then it is only going to work like a book. Basically, that's it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some embellishments on the front too. So let's put this cute little... I actually think putting the embellishments on is the funnest part. And so I would kind of slow down. So again, I sped this up because I slow down when I get to the parts that I like the most, which is the stamping and the putting the embellishments on. Notice that, look at the finished sample and you can see the difference in the amount of embellishments I added and the matting, which I did a little bit different. Sometimes, the video can throw you off a little. So what I'll end up doing is adding the journaling in the back, and I decided to use our new products for journaling for that. So give it a try and enjoy the stamping and the cutting.